back to Board Game Breakfast, the last Board Game Breakfast of 2015. Now, if you missed it last week, we put up a whole pile of end-of-the-year videos, things that talk about the best reprints of the year, the best expansions of the year, things like that. This week, I'm going to try to do something different. I'm going to be, we do our Q&As, but there's going to be several Q&As. I've actually convinced my wife to come on and answer a few of your questions. I'm going to have Sam and Z and Jason and Melody. So we're all going to try to take as many of your questions as we can this week because we're gearing up for the end of the year. And next Monday, we're going to be starting our Dice Tower Kickstarter for 2016. I'll have more details next week, but we have a lot of cool promos, a lot of cool things that are coming. There's a thread, I'll put it in the links here, where you can go and see a lot of pictures of different promos, or at least teases of what's coming out. So I think everyone's excited about that, or at least I'm excited about that. Anyhow, let's get started with the show, starting with the news. Okay, first of all, Cool Mini or Not has acquired the rights to Crossmaster in the USA. And Kama is the company that does Crossmaster, and they were currently working with Japanime. Japanime did a Kickstarter for Crossmaster Quest. Cool Mini or Not is not only going to pick up the fulfillment for that, but they're going to have Crossmaster in the future. This is interesting because Crossmaster was Japanime's biggest thing besides Tanto Curie, their deck building game, and Barbarossa, another game about scantily clad women, which they're now making a historical version of. It's very odd, but that's kind of what they're going to be concentrating on now. While the little chibi figures of Crossmaster will be moving over to Cool Mini or Not, which is kind of a coup for Cool Mini or Not to get this. Osprey has shown off some of the art for Odin's Ravens, which is a great game. Unfortunately, some people got messed over by the Kickstarter for that one. Hopefully this one will go off better. Hasbro has announced the winner of their very strange contest that I still don't understand, where you had to design a party game, then they picked some people who then went and did an Indiegogo campaign, and then one of those people won. The game that won was Irresponsibility, the Mr. Toast card game. The winner gets a $10,000 prize and a trip to the Hasbro headquarters where they'll design the game, but it also raised $10,500 or so on Indiegogo, which seems like peanuts for Hasbro to be involved with. Like I said, the whole thing for me is really weird I understand the contest, I understand the Indiegogo part. What I don't understand is Hasbro. It almost seems like a publicity stunt by Indiegogo, but I don't know. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is Asmodee, or Asmodee North America, because there's been a lot of stuff going on with Asmodee North America and Fantasy Flight and Days of Wonder. They've all combined into one, and there was a lot of discussion on the internet about that this week. First of all, there's just been people complaining up the wazoo. They made like a very vague announcement, and then they clarified it last Monday by making another somewhat vaguely worded announcement. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit because there's a lot of speculation and the sky is falling screaming that's on the internet. And I really tried hard to kind of condense my thoughts on this because I don't want this to come across as preachy. But at the same time, I feel pretty strongly that there's a lot of unfounded speculation, a lot of people getting upset when they probably shouldn't be. I'm in no way affiliated with Asmodee and Fantasy Flight Games. I do think their press release was not very well worded, and I think the follow-up was also not that well worded, but at the same time, I didn't think it was worth screaming to the hills about. First of all, the simple fact is, we don't know. And yet I see people going, oh, this is the beginning of the end, and this is going to happen, and you watch, this will happen, and I told you big companies merging together is a horrible idea. But the fact is, we don't know exactly what's happening. And until we know, I don't see how it's in anyone's benefit to get upset over it because nothing has actually happened yet. So we don't know. Again, a lot of that's on Asmodee because the press release was really vaguely worded. But there's a lot of wild speculation. And I've seen people saying this is going to happen and there's going to be no more online game sales. And it's like, where are you even getting that from? Secondly, there's no evidence at all that they are going to cut online game sales. Now, I work with Cool Stuff Inc. And I see a lot of people who are like, oh, they're going to stop selling through all these different online publishers. Well, I'm not looking very worried about that, am I? I mean, just kind of, have you seen online game stores like complaining very loudly about this? Again, let's wait and see what happens there. They're going to be probably, from what I can tell, be selling at a higher rate to online game stores than they would to a local game store, making the amount of discount that an online game store can sell these products at higher. So what that means is if you were buying Asmodee/Fantasy Flight games for a 30% discount, maybe it will go down to 20% or 15%, not because they're imposing a price drop, but because they're selling it to online game stores for a higher price, making it impossible for them to sell it at that discount off MSRP because they would not make any money or even lose money by doing so. I've seen a lot of people accusing Asmodee of greed. I saw people like, these are the 1%. Now, while it is true that at the upper management of Asmodee International, those people are probably very well off, right? But I've met the people who work at Asmodee at Fantasy Flight Games. I knew some of these folks when they were like running a booth that was 10 by 10. These people love games. They love gaming. They like the whole business. To accuse them of greed seems kind of misguided in the sense that, of course, they want to make money. I've never understood why people think that companies are in this to love consumers and essentially give you stuff as cheap as possible. They are there to make a profit while giving you a great gaming experience. Nowhere in all this press release and all this wolf crying and everyone screaming are people accusing Asmodee and Fantasy Flight and Days of Wonder of making bad games, right? The simple fact is they make amazing, terrific, super high quality games. So is it greed, or is it the fact that perhaps as life goes by, if they are going to maintain these high levels, these high components and great design and good customer service, that they have to do this to make things go up? And you know what? They run the company. They know how to make money. And I'm seeing a lot of armchair board game company people eventually saying, well, this is what they should do. Well, we actually don't know exactly what they're doing. Again, back to my first point. But again, I don't see this as they're sitting back going, we're going to destroy people. Or maybe they're going, we really need to make more money in this situation so we can pay our hundreds of employees. Online versus local. Now, I'm a big fan of shopping online. Of course I am. Cool Stuff supports our show. I always recommend that people buy from them. I think there are a lot of local game stores which are certainly not friendly. However, it would be foolish of me to say that most local game stores are not friendly. Maybe most that you who are watching know are not friendly, but there are hundreds, thousands of stores which are excellent stores to go to. And believe it or not, there's a lot of speculation out there, but this is fact. Most board companies get most of their profit from gaming stores. You may not believe me. You may say, everyone I know buys online and look at all this and blah, blah, blah. But remember, if you're watching me, you're part of an online community. We all are. Hooray! Okay, so of course we're going to have, you say, everyone in my game group buys online. That's possibly true also. But the fact is that the number of sales at stores is not just a little bit higher than online sales, but vastly higher than online sales at this point. In fact, every board game company that I've talked to, with the exception of the small ones who sell exclusively over Kickstarter, of course their online sales will be higher. But all the rest of them make way more sales through the gaming stores. That includes Barnes & Nobles and Target and things like that. But they make way more sales. And one company told me 98% of their sales were from stores. So of course they would be foolish to not think about those guys and see how they can be involved helping them. Asmodee did announce that they would be going down to 5 distributors. Some people are upset about that. First of all, for Days of Wonder, that's an increase of 4 distributors because they were exclusively with Alliance. This is a good thing that they're going from 1 to 5. Secondly, the 5 distributors that they mentioned, which includes Alliance and GTS and 3 other distributors, which are slipping me off the top of my head, those are the 5 biggest ones. That's pretty much all you need. And stores are happy about that because they don't want to have to subscribe to 30 distributors. 5 is fine. It still allows for competition. That's a good part of this announcement. A lot of people often look at this as it's the company versus the consumers. Maybe they just want to sell you a product and make money. Now, there are game companies out there where they kind of eke a profit. The guy who runs the company is doing it all by himself, and he makes a little bit of money off it, and everyone's like, wow, we got really good prices. But if you're going to be these big companies, I know Fantasy Flight has about 100 employees alone. Asmodee has many employees. They have to pay all these people. They have to pay the designers. They have to pay. There's a lot of production costs that go into gaming, and so they have to do that. It's not like they're against the consumers. And then Asmodee does not rule everything. They're a big company. There's no doubt about that. They're one of the biggest board game companies. But they're not the only board game company. Go look at my top 10 best-selling games last week from Cool Stuff, and you'll see that there's a couple Asmodee games in there, but there's also F2Z is a company that's growing. Rio Grande still exists, so does Mayfair, so does Cool Mini or Not, so does WizKids, so does Wizards of the Coast, which is no small company, so is Stronghold, so is AEG, so is Bezier Games. In fact, if you go to Gen Con or any of these other conventions, you will see that there are hundreds, if not thousands of companies out there. So let's say for some reason that you hated this policy so very much that you did not wish to buy Asmodee Fantasy Flight Days of Wonder games anymore. That doesn't actually cut you out of buying most games. There are still tons of games. They haven't bought everybody. And even if they did buy 17 more companies in 2016, which I don't think they'll buy 17, there would still be hundreds of others and more popping up all the time. So what can we do about this? What is the reasonable response to this? I'm not saying Asmodee is completely in the right here, that everything they do is perfect, but what is our response as a consumer? Number one, we need to wait and see. Unfounded speculation is fun. I don't mind speculating. Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen. But complaining and getting upset about things that haven't happened yet, that is worrisome. You know, and there are real people whose lives are involved here. So we have to be cautious. Let's just wait and see. Making empty threats. You know, there's a lot of people I know who are complaining. And again, I do not mean to point out people specifically, but I know a lot of people who have vast gaming collections. And they'll go, well, I'll just stop buying all the games. Well, first of all, so for some people, that's an empty threat. They'll stop buying the games for a little while, then they'll hear about the latest and greatest Asmodee game, and yeah, maybe I'll buy that game just this one time. Okay, so let's not make empty threats. And the fact is that while I said Asmodee isn't the be-all, end-all, with Fantasy Flight, they certainly own some gigantic lines, with the Star Wars lines and the LCG lines, and Asmodee itself with Splendor. There's a lot of big games that they own, and Ticket to Ride, and we can say we're not going to buy these games, but if they make a good game, maybe we should consider that. We have to realize that businesses have to make tough decisions. And sometimes they have to make decisions that, to the consumers, look confusing. I've heard a lot of people compare Asmodee here. Oh, this is the Games Workshop model and the Mayfair model. And, well, first of all, Mayfair did this, I think, 5 years ago, and they did it in a much stronger, straightforward way. And while that hasn't hurt Mayfair that much, I would suggest that Mayfair's lack of anything really that good other than Settlers of Catan has hurt them more. The fact is that sometimes businesses have to make decisions that we really don't know all the ins and outs on. And there are other games out there. And if you don't buy from Asmodee, they just might survive anyway. Obviously, they're selling a lot of these games. And then finally, and this is the one I know people are going to argue about, and they'll say, Tom, you don't have to buy games, you get games as review copies. Well, I don't get all my games as review copies. And some things, for example, X-Wing miniatures and Armada miniatures, I buy them myself. And so if it goes up by $5 or $10, well, I don't really like that. But you know what? I'm going to have to deal with that. I don't think it's useful getting angry over that. See, a lot of people throw around the term price gouging. Do you know what? These Asmodee and other board game companies, they're selling us toys. Now, granted, I look at board games as much more sophisticated toys that do educational things, toys that bring a wonderful community together, and that's fantastic. And I like that you guys buy games and want to learn about games because that brings people to my channel. But they're games. They're luxuries. We really don't need them. And while nowadays it's kind of common to throw around the whole first world problems a little too flippantly, the simple fact is that's what this is. When we sit there and people getting extremely angry because their games are going to go up 10% in price or so, you have to kind of wonder. A lot of people are getting angry that I know about this, are just buying the games and sticking them on their shelf anyway. You know, they're like, oh, I buy hundreds of games a year. Now I'm only going to buy, I'm not going to buy Asmodee games anymore. Okay, well, maybe you're buying too many games a year anyway. So, again, I think the big thing to take away from this is we all need to calm down. It's not that big of a deal yet. And you know what? Prices will go up. And you know what? If those prices cause people to stop buying Asmodee games, well, then perhaps Asmodee will change their policies. Getting angry, though, about it, shrieking up a storm online, I don't think that's worth it. Let's just wait and see what happens.
It's rolling.
Me. Here we go. Nobody really talked about greed. Not even me. And I bought the dang thing.
Ooh, wait, okay, that's too close.
Okay.
I can't even see it.
Okay.
But like more halfway.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
to get distance. Yeah.
Okay. Whoa.
So we're here at the Dice Tower live taping, which I hope you're able to enjoy on the internet. I'm at the door, and just my question is, when am I supposed to shut the door?
Nope, they're all facing the wrong way. Whoops. That's okay, we can take care of it in post-production.
Oh, Rosebud. We're having a lot of fun here on our trip, and I ain't lying.
Quiet on set! Wait, it's just a karma grab. Are you talking about the Reddit subreddit just to get karma?
Okay, so we just played Spyfall, and apparently Jason is always the spy.
Only unboxing of some board game related products on Whitleypedia. Now, unboxing has been very popular.
I suspect there'll be some feelings hurt and some tears shed, but in the end we'll all come back together.
Board Game Geek lists over 700 products in the zombie category. Okay. Board Game Geek lists over 700.
Okay, so then this is the game that they replicated that we saw before. This is it right here.
Look, they've got the uniform.
Okay, this is not working.
Ironically, when I play I can do this.
Hold on.
A reading from Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy.
Hey, wait, let me do a little adjustment.
Oop. Man down. There we go.
It's all done live. You're still going.
Excellent. We'll save this for the blooper reel at the end of the year.
That's right.
Today we're taking a look at the card caddy. This is two pieces of plastic that are put together and they hold a deck of cards. And you can, there's a hole in it. That's easy, I guess, to see what the cards are. And when they carry it around, it's very sturdy. I mean, let's try the component drop. All right, looks fine. Everything's together. It came apart a little bit, but for the most part, very sturdy. And you can take this apart. And what you have here is you have a spot to put in your deck of cards. And then these fit together like this. So you draw your cards, and then as you play your cards or discard your cards, they get discarded here. Just a very simple system. I have to say that I will easily use this. I'm going to hang on to this copy of it. I'm not always, when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know about this. But if I'm going somewhere and I want to take a small deck of cards with me, maybe two, on a trip or something, this is an easy way to carry them around. It also sits in the middle of the table, keeps everything straight. This was also kind of that gift to buy for someone who has a lot of card games, and I think they would enjoy it. Especially, I think the thing I like the most is that the discards get thrown in like this, and this one holds the cards that you're drawing from very easily. And then the whole thing, just snap, put the cards in, and then put this on top. Snaps right in like that. There you go.
See what's behind this door. Oh, you're here early, Internet. Welcome back to the Game Plan. I'm Andrew Cohen. So recently, I've been playing Pandemic Legacy with my family, and I've rated it a rare 10. Is it my favorite game of all time? Not really sure yet, although it's definitely up there. I think the reason I like it so much is that I realize that it's really close to a video game compared to other board games that I've played. And I thought it'd be interesting over the next few segments to look really closely at why I feel this way and what impact it will have on me as a board gamer. So what characteristics of a video game does Pandemic Legacy have? Well, first of all, it's a multi-game campaign where you're playing 12 games if you're really lucky, and 24 games if you're having the worst day of your life, with a really immersive and evolving story where your decisions in one game impact your upcoming games. Also, there are new components and new story elements that are added every game or two, and because of this, you always want to keep coming back to play more and more games to see where the story will go and what surprises are around the next corner. Is this a good thing? Definitely. I'm somebody who really loves video games, and it's really cool seeing a game like this, a board game, having video game elements, but still keeping the board game elements that we all come to love. Will it impact what games I seek out next and want to play? I'm not really sure yet. I'll definitely want to look for more legacy games, but I still want to play other board games. For example, I love Gunwar. Would I want that to become a legacy game? No, it's perfectly fine as it is. And finally, what impact will this have on my current board game design? Well, I'm not really sure yet, but it will definitely have an impact on it. So that's all for this week. For the next few episodes, I'll be looking at these questions and trying to answer them. But in the next episode, I will be talking about my favorite video game, Madden NFL 16, and how it compares to Pandemic Legacy. Until then, this is Andrew Cohen, and this has been The Game Plan. Now let's see what's behind this. It's...
Imagine you're at a convention. This guy walks up to you and says, "Hello, would you like to play a game of Twiligt Strokle?" Now, depending on your mood, you might be amused, annoyed, or confused, which is a shame, since the guy asks you for a game of Twilight Struggle without knowing basic English pronunciation. To prevent you from causing the same confusion in reverse, Die Speaker's Tat, I present to you German for Board Gamers. Sound as if you spoke German without actually being able to. The good news is that you won't have to deal with things like ooh, whatever. German pronunciation is pretty consistent. If you know the rule, you're usually right. So, since we're almost out of time, let's start off easy with ah. Yes, A is always pronounced ah. Take a look at Exhibit A. Catan. Catan. That's it for today. See you next time for a little bit of E-I.
Hi, welcome to the 101, and Happy New Year. Last year was a great year as I look back. Starting this segment, Miniatures Painting 101, the segment I have with Sam and myself as we do battling brushes, but most of all on my channel, being able to raise over $7,800 for the Jack Vasel Memorial Foundation as well as the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Next year, I'm going to strive to do even bigger and better things. I'm setting a goal of $20,000. All you have to do is go to my channel, and each and every month I'll be giving a giveaway. It may be a painted game, it may be an assortment of different games, but it's always good quality stuff. All you have to do is go to the Jack Vasel Memorial Foundation, make a donation, email me at novaprime860@hotmail.com. No subscription needed, and I'll be more than happy to enter you into the box of goodness. Each month I'll be drawing and picking a winner, usually a first, second, and third place. Usually we give away games like Blood Rage or Space Cadets, Rivet Wars, Totally Painted, all for a good cause, along with the different auctions that we do with the Dice Tower. So please help me make 2016 a banner and great year, as coming up to help these great foundations and to help others and make a difference in so many lives. Here's to you and your families, to a safe and happy new year, and we'll see you next time with finally some painting projects. Have a great new year, and thank you for all your support.
earlier, we're going to have a lot of Q&As this week, but that is not going to slow us down in the reviews. This week we'll be taking a look at Spirits of the Rice Paddy, Dojo Kun, Vaca Loco, Oath of the Brotherhood, Mess Machine, Mafia Casino, Burgle Brothers, and other games. So, and then Z and Sam have reviews coming. We'll have a top 10 list for you this week. Our top 10 deck building games. And besides, we'll still have some other things come out next week. We're going to be doing not this coming week, but the week after that, we're going to be doing our live marathon gaming playthrough. That'll be interesting, right? It's been a while since we've done one of those. I think like a year. Okay, but let's get to the reviews. Let's get to the rest of Board Game Breakfast.
Hello, Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, concluding our look back on 2015 with my completely subjective list of the top 3 favorite games of the year. Number 3, Spectre Ops. Regular viewers of my videos, hi Gary, may recall that in last year's year-end review, I mentioned a game that I was looking forward to by designer Emerson Matsuuchi. Would Spectre Ops live up to my expectations? Could it be done? Well, tune in next time to find out. Yeah, I'll just tell you now. Yes, Spectre Ops manages to deliver a hidden movement game with streamlined mechanisms and gameplay while including asynchronous player powers and building tension from the very first turn. Number 2, Star Wars Risk. Now, some people may say that Star Wars Risk was one of the biggest surprises of 2015, and some people would be me. I mean, here was a re-implementation of the highly praised game, The Queen's Gambit, disguised cleverly as part of the Risk franchise, developed by Hasbro and developed for big box retail chains. The odds against this being a quality game were astounding. Let me put it this way. At BGG-Con this year, in several of the games of Star Wars Risk that I saw being played, the participants were actively on their phone placing an order for their own copy of the game on Amazon while they played it. The last time that a game carrying the Risk brand was able to do that was never. And that is why Star Wars Risk claims the number 2 spot on my list of favorite games of 2015. Number 1, Codenames. Now, Codenames earns the top spot on my list for the year because it's a game that has managed to be engaging with every audience that I've played it with. Gamers at conventions, my local gaming club, family and friends, people I haven't even played it with. It's one of those games that many different audiences can all appreciate. But what really makes Codenames stand out to me is that it's one of the very few games this year that no matter who I've played it with, the initial reaction after finishing a game has been, let's play that again, right now. And I can't think of any game this year, even the last 3 years, that's been met with the same response so often and consistently. And it's because of that level of accessibility and replayability that Codenames earns the top spot as my number 1 favorite game of 2015. So what do you think? Agree? Disagree? Other? Let me know in the comments below.
Greetings everyone, this is Dean with Board Game Social. I'm here today to follow up on that conversation of nostalgia. Nostalgia in our hobby, nostalgia in our board games. We talked last time about Thunderbirds and the joy that it brought my buddy, and I racked my brain, and I really legendary marvel. This takes me back to my formative years, 6, 7, 8 on up, because believe it or not, I was a comic book geek. I know it's rare to have a comic book geek also become a board game geek, but it's true. It happened. And this game reminds me of flipping through the pages of those comics, and in my mind being part of those stories and those battles and wanting to take on the role of either Hawkeye or Thor or whatever, and this game allows me to do it. And my son and I, we have a blast playing it. We play it in a group as well, and every time it's just fun. You know, it's not a hardcore game by any means, but it scratches that itch of a superhero game. I've never played the DC deck builder game because I've never really been a DC guy, and I've looked at others, but this one, because of the characters, this is the game that fills that need for me. And I love I love the expansions. Every expansion is like going and looking through a long bin of comics, trying to find that one that you don't have. What are you going to find in there? And when I unwrap an expansion of Marvel Legendary, that's what it feels like. Which characters are going to be in there? Who am I going to finally get to play? So I love it. Keep them coming. Stick them in my stocking if there's an expansion coming out, and I'll unwrap it and enjoy it like a 5-year-old on Christmas Day. So until next time, take care of yourselves, hug your loved ones, and have a great and blessed holiday season, everyone. See ya.
A year ago, I made predictions about 2015. Now, I know a little bit about what's going on in the industry and what might be coming up, but I make these predictions usually just using educated guesses and sometimes just wild speculation. Let's see how many of my 10 predictions I made about 2015 came true. You ready? All right, here we go. First of all, I said that a 15-year-old game or older, some game that nobody expected, was going to come back and reprint out of the blue, and it would be a big deal. I'm not sure if I got this one correct or not. I mean, you might say that Necromunda from Games Workshop, that's an old game that they reprinted that no one was expecting probably. Maybe that's what it was. Other than that, we've seen a lot of games that are being reprinted, but nothing huge like what I thought. There was a specific game that I thought would come back and did not, although possibly that may still happen. Then I said that there would be at least 2 super deluxe games along the lines of Small World and Settlers of Catan. The really super deluxe versions. That did not happen. I was hoping that some of these 10-year-old games would have one. Now, they did announce a new version of Colosseum, and Matago put together a really nice version of River Dragons. So that would be one, I suppose, and maybe Tokaido, but we already knew Tokaido was in the works, so I'm not going to count that. So I'm going to say on that one, I was wrong. Now, this next one I'm really wrong on. I said there would be at least 10 games or more with a smartphone or some kind of iOS or Android interface. There would be a wave of these coming, and that just didn't happen. We had XCOM, we had Roar, and then we have World of Yoho, but that's actually 2016, so really not much at all. Now, we're seeing a lot of apps. A lot of board games are going as apps, and we also see companion apps, but I'm not counting that. So I'm surprised. I really thought everyone would be doing this. Maybe it's pretty expensive to get this one done. Then I said Gen Con would grow a whole lot, which wasn't very hard to say, right? But that there would be more complaints about Gen Con than ever this year. Now, this one I feel like I nailed. Gen Con did grow quite a bit, and there was a lot of complaints. Huge complaints about housing. Most people I talked to said that it was very crowded and problematic. And so I feel like, okay, so I'm 1 for 4 now. Then I said that the Spiel des Jahres winner would be a huge hit. I was just completely guessing on this one. We did have a huge hit this year, Pandemic Legacy, but that was not the Spiel des Jahres winner. The Spiel des Jahres winner was Cult Express, which, while a lot of people are enjoying and playing that, has not turned into a mega hit. Then I said that there would be some major scandal for a board game company. Now, there have been, and I said a major board game company, there would be this huge thing. That has not happened. There's been minor things. There's been complaints between companies and designers and such, but I haven't really seen anything major that rocked the industry. Then I said that the Magic the Gathering board game would be huge. This one I blame on Wizards. I really think it could have been huge. I really think it could have been big, but they waited till now to release the first expansion. And even the first expansion does not give you enough to really deck build and build army build with this game. I really think they shot themselves in the foot. It's popular, but you're not seeing it show up on a lot of top 10 in the Games of the Year list. I like it, and I have it, and I was excitedly got the expansion, but it's not nearly as big as I thought it would be. Then I said that there would be a resurgence of the heavy Euro game. There was a few heavy Euro games from last year, but I said that there would be a lot more this year. This one I think I nailed. There was a lot of heavy Euro games this year, from fast food franchise to there was the Mombasa. I mean, if you look at all the different games, Nippon, there's a lot of heavy Euro games that came out, not only over the course of the year, but a pile came out at Essen. And the heavy Euro gamer people that I know are really happy with how this has turned out. Then I said that RPG games and role-playing games will be mentioned on major talk shows. I think I said at least 5 times. This one I actually can't figure out if I'm correct or not. I'm going to just say that I'm not. I know that it's starting to hit the news more. We're starting to hear more about board games. They certainly are growing. There was the article about the Green Bay Packers. I should have maybe been more wide open on that. Like, you'll be mentioned in newspapers and such. So I'm going to say I did not get that one correct, although I feel like the popularity and the visibility of board games is going up. And then finally I said that Fantasy Fight Games would announce a galactic-wide Star Wars game. Not necessarily Twilight Imperium retheme, but maybe something completely new. Whoa! That one was lucky. I was just hoping for that, and it did happen. They announced the Star Wars game that's coming out, I believe, Q1 or Q2 of 2016. Yeah! I'm very excited about that. So, if I'm doing my count correctly, I have 3 2/2. So that makes 4 out of 10. So obviously, not nearly as well as my predicted for 2014. Come back next week and I'll talk about my predictions for 2016. I'll try to pick stuff that I think will happen because, well, still, some of these I'm glad didn't happen. I'm glad there was not a deluge of board game apps. I'm glad that there was not a major scandal for a board game company, but I do wish Magic the Board Game had been bigger. I do wish that there would be more RPG games and role-playing games mentioned in the news and such. But anyhow, what do you think is going to happen in 2016? Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll pick one of your thoughts for my list next week. See you then.
Hi there, Niels here again. My best and my worst. Cyril's Brettspiele durchgespielt. Yeah, and this time, Evolution. I have the German version Schmidt-Spiele, but it's also available from North Star Games here in the US. Again, Evolution, my best and my worst parts.
The best part on Evolution, the card game, for me is by far that you have so much different winning strategies. You could make this rabbit symbol here and this symbol here, and this creature you make it a large creature, then he can eat so much. Eat more every time your creature on the right hand side eat one, you eat another one, or go into the pool first, or once you eat one you get another one, or things like that. But because you're a large creature right now, and nobody else has carnivores out there, so nobody else is a really raptor, then why not making this into a raptor and kill the other ones? The flip side of exactly this system is you are waiting for these cool combos on cards, and when it's never show up, when you never get an intelligent card together with a carnivore, you need a carnivore with intelligence, or when you started the symbiote and he gets never a good protection, then I mean obviously there's a lot of luck involved in drawing the right cards at the right time. However, you can always store cards in your hand and save them for further rounds, but then you cannot use it and cannot get the benefit out of this.
Okay, that was my personal love and hate for Evolution from North Star Games. Let me know what your favorite is, and see you next time when it is again the best and the... See you next time. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Berkey from the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble Show and Board Game Theater. You know, a couple weeks ago, I decided to challenge Tom Vasel to a battle of wits and weights. Well, it was something like that. You know, for every pound that Tom was going to lose, I was going to play a game off of my shelf of shame. You know, you think it would be easier to play games. Well, I was doing pretty good. I took down Star Wars, Black Box Edition, Mogul, Ultimate Warriors, Castles of Burgundy, Istanbul, Seven Wonders Duel, Kemet, and Colt Express with the Stagecoach expansion. 8 games from my shelf of shame. It's pretty good, right? Yeah, you'd think so. Well, then Christmas hit, and it's like that great big table full of cookies, and I love peanut butter. And, well, my table of cookies came in the form of a box from Cool Stuff Inc. with Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, and The Abyss, the Kraken expansion. Do you believe it? Oh, and Flick 'em Up. I've been waiting for this for so long. Oh, and there's got to be something else in here. And then Stephen Bonacore says I could have Stronghold 2nd Edition imported Niagara by Christmas. Well, Tom, I hope you did better with your weight over Christmas than I did with adding to my shelf of shame. I'm gonna climb over your wall, you dirty orc, you dirty rat.
Hi, Suzanne here, and with 2015 coming to a close, that means it's time to take a look back at the year in board game apps. To be honest, it was a little bit of a ho-hum year in app gaming to me, but that doesn't mean that there weren't some standouts that deserve recognition. First, I have two quick honorable mentions. The first is Dominant Species. Although it's not a 2015 release, it was the 2015 overhaul that made the app fun and playable and pretty darn great. And the second honorable mention is Earthcore Shattered Elements. I actually haven't covered this on its own yet, partly because there's so much to it, but it is a digital CCG with all the bells and whistles that's definitely worth a look. My number 5 app of the year is Picomino. I know you're thinking, really? But yeah, really. This is a solid implementation of a quick and light push your luck game, and it's surprisingly feature rich. I would welcome more lightweight game applications like this. Infection Humanity's Last Gasp is my number 4 app of the year. Solo play games actually make really great apps, and I wish more would come over into digital form. Infection did a great job of porting the board game over in a slick package that was smartly designed for the digital experience, and so it makes a great solo play app game. My number 3 app of the year is Card Crawl. I loved this game when it first came out, but it's since gotten even better thanks to some massive content updates. The gameplay is quick and simple, but really compelling with fun art and some depth thanks to a variety of the special ability cards. Like last year, it was a tough choice between the number 1 and 2 apps of the year for me, but ultimately, Splendor is my number 2 app of the year. This is a near perfect port of the popular board game, but maybe even a little bit better because of the added challenge mode, which makes it a really fun solo play game. Days of Wonder continues to add more new challenges, and I know that they're working on the online version as well, but even without online play, Splendor is still a great board game app. My number 1 app for 2015 is Le Havre Inland Port. Now, I may be a little bit biased because I love Uwe Rosenberg games, but Newcomers Digidice made quite the splash with this app. It has nearly all the features I'm looking for in a board game app, and I just love playing it on my device. So if you're a Eurogame fan at all, I definitely recommend you try Le Havre Inland Port. And hey, it's available on iOS and Android. There you have it, my top 5 apps of 2015. Looking forward to 2016. I know that there are some great game releases planned for us, so charge those batteries and clear some hard drive space. Cheers.
Hi, Internet. Well, 2015 has come to a close, and we hope that you enjoyed whichever of December's 38 different cultural holidays you chose to celebrate. 2015 was a heck of a year, both here at Snakes and Lattes and in gaming in general. So let's take a look. For the second year in a row, the Spiel des Jahres prize was awarded to an underdog game with some decidedly un-SDJ-like characteristics. Is this just some blips on a radar that happened to be 2 years in a row? Or is this the beginning of a trend? Kickstarter continues to be a powerhouse in the game industry, raising millions and millions of dollars for various products, such as the simple fare from Oatmeal's Exploding Kittens to more designer fare like Blood Rage, Scythe, Ghostbusters, and many others from established publishing houses. Kickstarter has proven itself to be a place where a select few can raise unheard of sums of money while others wallow in obscurity. Will this trend continue? Spoiler alert, of course it will. 2015 was a banner year for seeing awesome out-of-print games get reprints by big companies. Games like Mission Red Planet, ooh, space, El Grande, Samurai, Hype, Queen's Necklace, and Fury of Dracula. So angry, just to name a few. I hope this trend continues next year. There are some games I'd like to see come back. Games like That's Life, Manhattan, Tiki Topple, Sorry Sliders, and Grave Robber from Outer Space. It was a year of mergers. Asmodee acquired Fantasy Flight Games. That was a huge purchase. Also, F2Z, which itself is a merger between Philosophia and Z-Man Games, acquired Plaid Hat. Now, usually a merger will allow us to see smaller products getting more presence in the marketplace, but so far we haven't felt the effects of these two mergers. And I can say the flagship game for Plaid Hat, Dead of Winter, has certainly still been in short supply, at least up here in Canada. So 2015 was an exciting year, and we don't know what 2016 is going to bring, but we are looking forward to seeing what it does have in store for us at Snakes and Lattes and the gaming industry in general.
Well, folks, that's it for this week. I'm really excited, okay? Check our channel. I don't know when we're going to schedule all of these Q&As. I know there will be at least one or two today and probably tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. But watch our list. We probably won't have, well, who knows? Just keep an eye out for that. If you want to ask different questions to different people around the Dice Tower, we'll try to spread them out so that different people, that you have a chance to hit at least one of them. And our Kickstarter is starting in a week, so pay attention for that. But meanwhile, go out, enjoy the rest of 2015. A very happy new year to everybody. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.